Good morning, doctors. Welcome to all the esteemed doctors to the CHAT GPT program brought to you by Alembic Pharmaceuticals Limited. Alembic Pharmaceuticals has been your reliable healthcare partner for over 116 years, manufacturing quality products for the market. Alembic is committed to advance healthcare with an emphasis on technology and innovations. Your commitment to stay updated and enhance your skills is truly commendable. Today, of course, we have gathered here together to take your academic learnings to the next level with this ChatGPT program. As you all know, doctors, ChatGPT and Gemini are the leading generative AI platforms extensively being used by the public and clinical practitioners at large. Generative AI has multiple uses in daily clinical practice, in covering research, diagnostics, treatment information, medical, legal, scientific publications, and social media management. Our first speaker comes directly from the parent company of Gemini, Shreya. Shreya, of course, is one of the leading senior marketing strategists at Google and Google India. Shreya is, of course, one of the leading experts on ChatGPT. He will, of course, be talking about the differences between ChatGPT and Gemini, and we will learn much more from him. Over to you, Shreya.
Thank you, Kedar, and good morning, doctors. I'm going to start sharing my screen, and I'm going to be working through two screens today. So while I might just look on the other screen, though that being said, you should know that my attention is totally on you and the program itself. So give me just 1 second, as in when you'll see my screen. Kedar, if you could just give me a thumbs up as well when you see it.
Yeah.
All good, and I'm hoping it is in the full screen mode. Perfect. All right, then, folks, thank you again for calling me here, and thank you, Alembic and Kedar, for organizing this, of course, right? So we're going to get started with the Gen AI, of course, and Gen AI is something which is very quirky these days, and you're learning about it, and you're hearing about this a lot of times. But what we've done in the next 1 hour, 50 minutes, is we are trying to get to the basics of it as a layman, right, and also help us understand what really this wizardy is all about, right? Now, before that, I'll quickly start with my introduction. My name is Shreya. Of course, you know that by now. I'm a marketing strategist at Google for over 3 years now. And before Google, I have worked with EY, Gartner, Suzlon, right after my college from SRCC Delhi University, right? I come from the Civic Society of Noida. If you know what that means, then you know, right? When not working, I enjoy listening music, driving, and collecting books for my home library. As you can see over here, I'm very fond of reading. But most importantly, I believe in sharing is caring. And that is why I've done over 50 such events, both inside and outside Google, to ensure knowledge flow. The last time, however, I used AI in my daily life was this morning to optimize the right time and sets of my workout. So yeah, as you can see, AI is being used everywhere and anywhere, right? Without wasting a lot of time, this is going to be the agenda today, right? I've tried to divide this into 5 different fingers of a hand, let's say, right, or 4 fingers and a thumb. We'll start with the market scenario. Where is market headed? The AI world, as we say, right? What really is Gen AI, right? Gen AI is generative AI, and how is it relevant to you, doctors, right? Then we'll talk about creating accounts on Gemini and ChatGPT. We won't stop there, however, right? We'll get our hands dirty on certain live use cases wherein we'll be putting in certain quotes and certain questions to the Gemini, and I'll be sharing my screen and we'll be having a conversation with that amazing generative AI model. And then, of course, we'll have in the end question and answers as well for some time. That being said, if there are other questions as well, I'll be stopping after every section to maybe entertain a couple of questions as well over there. Now, let's get started with the market scenario, right? A lot of number here, which tells us that it is all about numbers, right? We know for a fact that the healthcare industry is growing at a rapid rate. One forecast projects that the market volume is expected to reach around $21 trillion by by 2030, growing at a CAGR of around 8.27%, right? It doesn't stop here, right? Let's look at some stats that support this statement of market growth. Almost 3/4 of people who switched providers in 2021 did so because of poor healthcare navigation, right? In addition to this, patients rate customer service and communication as the most important than even bedside manners, right? And around 64% of the patients said that COVID-19 has made them more aware of the need for a responsive healthcare system. So now we know that customer service can play a huge role in determining which providers and doctors patients actually are choosing right now. When patients have a positive experience with the doctor, including the simple logistics of finding them, they are far and more likely to be satisfied with the overall healthcare system, and they're far likely to come back to the same doctor again to get the diagnosis done, right? Now, before I get to the real nuances of Gen AI, before we actually get our hands dirty by asking Gemini the real questions, I want to take you through I would say like a real, like not a real but kind of like a scenario, right? So as I said, before we get started with AI, ML, and all the fancy words, allow me to show you an example of how AI is being used right now. This is not, by the way, like in the future. This is used right now by advanced customers and patients, right? It is important to remember here that this is just an example. And by design, I'm using an example of an orthopedic specialist. We will be covering live use cases of endocrinology later in the presentation as well, right? So here is the example, right? As you can see, a lovely girl, Ashley, right? She recently injured her foot. Her primary care physician referred her to an orthopedic specialist for further consultation. To schedule the appointment, Ashley can either go the traditional route of manually searching online to find the right provider, then calling around to manually book an appointment over the phone. That's what people used to do earlier. Or she can simply go and use a chatbot on the patient portal that is powered by Gemini AI to assist in scheduling and making the most of her appointment. She, of course, is a Gen Z. She chooses the chatbot, and it's faster, it's easier, and of course, AI enabled, right? Now, as we get started in the example right now, you'll see it is important to note that while AI is amazing and expediting the patient services and helping Ashley learn more about what's in the store for her care, it is not designed to provide any kind of medical advice or treatment. That's always and always in the hand of human caregivers, which we know as doctors, right? This is also a great example of how human intelligence and artificial intelligence can actually, go about working together to foster better patient outcomes. Also telling how AI is an enabler and would never be a job stealer, right? So you know what Ashley would do? Ashley would decides to use the new AI tool that she got from her healthcare provider. In this example, it is Symbol Member Concierge. Using the power of AI, Ashley can go about finding information, book appointments, get and manage her plan directly through the portal, all on their schedule using plain and easy language. As you can see over here, Ashley is just simply typing that, "Hey, I'm looking for certain things over here," right? Now, using very natural language, the kind of language that we can use, with our friends and our parents or whatnot, right, or colleagues, Ashley is going about asking about, specialists in her network, right? Now, the AI is synthesizing enterprise data, which providers in Ashley's network, Ashley's insurance networks are already there, with the publicly available data on Google and doctors and reviews rating to provide her with a dynamic yet personalized list of specialists in her area, right? Now, as you can see in the example over here, Ashley has the power to filter in a bunch of ways, like how much her pay would be, or which doctors have the highest percentage ratings, which doctor is much nearer to her. Is there a doctor which is there a lady doctor or something like that, right? So there's a lot of power. Moving on with the same example, again, using easy chat, Ashley can easily ask certain follow up questions as well to filter by things like specialist with a certain distance, right? When Ashley finds the right specialist, the AI technology can help her identify open appointment slots, easily book one that works for her schedule. Again, all of this, by the way, is happening with simple, natural language. No clunky menus to navigate, no complex keywords to speak, no hold of phone or whatsoever, right? And that's a great start in itself, right? But AI can even go further and help the patient here, which is Ashley, get ready for appointment, right? The AI would prompt Ashley to complete a few intake forms, right? Think about it. Now, when a person is actually visiting the clinic, they go about spending a lot of time, rather wasting a lot of time at times, filling those intake forms, right? Even doctors' time is the most valuable time in the world, right? They also have a lead time because of that. So AI is actually prompting Ashley to fill up all those intake forms before the booking, right? After the booking appointment, these intake forms are read by doctors or their teams before her visit, saving both Ashley and the doctor and their team very, very valuable time, right? And the good part is that AI works in concert with all the Google products like Maps and Calendar. For example, Ashley can, ask how long will it take her to go for reach her appointment, and the app will actually go about proactively telling her that okay, this is the time that you should be leaving your home, right? And since you're talking about AI, right? One of the great things about AI is its empathetic tone and language with patients, right? Now, this can be super important in supporting patients after their appointment, helping make sense of what they discuss with the doctor and what it means and what the next steps are. It's actually comforting for the patient to be able to ask any question that comes to their mind whenever they occur, right? For example, over here, the AI is always ready to help her learn, but also knows when to stop, as something that I covered here, right? It would never go about providing any treatment options or medical advice, right? It leaves that for her doctor, right? Again, it'll always be a job enabler, but never a job stealer, right? It is designed like that, by the way. And what even here, this is even going beyond the patient experience. Ashley can even ask the AI model over here to actually go about writing a work from home request for her office, and AI does that for her, right? Similar to her multi-domain engagement, right? As I said, the work from home request is something that was asked by her, and the Google now remembers the conversation that they had earlier. So, Ashley doesn't have to type again that, hey, I've sprained my foot and whatnot. Based on the conversation we had earlier, just like a good friend, AI remembers that and drafts like a good work from home conversation for her there, right? And even sets her in the right direction by finding nearby support groups and resources, right? It can all add up to be a well-rounded real-time assistant that delivers peace of mind and better outcomes to Ashley, right? So that was the patient side, right? And I know I kind of rushed a bit over there, but what about doctors, right? We're here to discuss about how AI can make doctors' life much more easier, right? Now, this is where the beauty comes in, right? Google AI can also make doctors' job easier, right? Using the exact same natural language interface as the patient was using, Dr. Smith, in this example, of course, can expedite all the admin tasks, right? For example, over here, she's asking for a personalized prior authorization request to be sent to Ashley's insurance, recommending 10 personal therapy sessions, right, or physical therapy sessions. This gives her more time to focus on patients and not paperwork. Hence, freeing up a lot of important time that doctors can have. So that was the example, folks. As you can see, there is a lot of time and there's a lot of value when it comes to using AI, both for patients but also for the doctors. I'm going to stop here before I move to the next one. Keda, is there any question over here?
Yeah, doctors have already started asking a lot of questions, which is great. One of the very interesting ones which has first come up is that for whether it's Gemini or Chat GPT, is there a subscription, charges that have to be paid by anybody?
Not at all, not at all. So they work in a freemium kind of model. I would say for 99% of the work that I do or you would want to take from ChatGPT and Gemini is all free, right? All you have to go about is creating an account and then just simply asking the questions like good friend, right? So think of it as a friend who never takes anything back, right? However, that being said, of course, it is a business. Both ChatGPT and Gemini have certain advanced models or advanced, I would say, options that would actually even help you more. That being said, they are more at an enterprise level for people like us to get our daily things clear. It is more, it is much easier to use the freemium model, and we don't have to spend any money on this.
Doctors, feel free to keep on posting questions. We'll be picking it up on the go. Thank you.
Perfect. That being said, let's now actually go about understanding the future of healthcare, right? Now this was the last example that we did. I know it was a pretty interesting one, right? What does it tell us though? Where is the healthcare industry headed, right? What is the future of healthcare like? Well, after reading a lot, after doing a lot of research, right, and being on the other side of the spectrum, being a patient and also like a person who works with a lot of doctors and pharma companies, I for one feel that the future of healthcare is the one that is personalized. It is the one that is always on, always connected, convenient both for doctors and patients, predictive and preemptive. I know that's a lot of words, right? But if you were to make certain reasons why it is actually going or where it is headed, all in all, healthcare is making certain subtle pivots, right, as seen on this slide, from making me well to keeping me healthy, right? That's a big pivot from a patient side of view, right? From prevention focused to cure focused, right? From where it is available to where I am, right? So these are certain subtle, I would say, shifts or pivots that the patients are actually, already going through, and the healthcare industry is almost playing a game of cat and dog over here to kind of catch up on these, right? And how can we go about catching these in the best way possible without taking a lot of money or without investing a lot of time or money on it? Is using technology, and the best technology out there right now is of course Gen AI, something that we also call it as Chat GPT or Gemini, right? Now we know for a fact to enable the future of healthcare as we see it, AI innovation plays a pivotal role. LLM is something called large language model, right? So think of generative AI. The background of it is called LLM, which is large language model. That's all the technical nuances that we want to understand over there. So AI has actually captured the world's imagination, changing how we think about the future, right? So AI is not only a powerful enabler; it is also driving a big platform shift, changing the game, right? Just two slides back, we've seen an example of how Gen AI can unlock creativity, boost productivity, and extend knowledge, right? And that's just the start of Gen AI, by the way, right? Now, let's understand a bit more. Why is it that everyone at Google, or everyone rather, right now is hearing so much about Gen AI, right? The reason is that we've entered the Industrial Revolution 4.0, and this is the era that is getting defined by intuitive interaction between humans and technology through processing and generating language in different modes such as text, audio, videos, or images, right? Now, generative AI will have a massive impact on industries. It is already started to have, right? But it is the best time right now is to be ahead of the curve and learn about it before the train has already left the station, right? The rate at which technology is diffusing into industries and other software is unprecedented, right? And while this might be a bit of overstatement, but think of generative AI or artificial intelligence, that important of an invention as steam power engine was in 1784, electricity was in 1870, Edison or Tesla, that could be like a debate over there. IT was in 1969, right? And it is as important invention, right? We have already seen it, but if you were not really thinking it was that important, I can tell you that it is very important. So it is good that we get started on this, right? And just one very quick thing on last slide. Now there's a big misnomer with Gen AI is we think this is a very new thing, right? Well, actually, this was invented way back in 1943, right? That being said, generative AI needs two things, right? It needs a lot of data. Data needs a lot of computing power, right? Computing power needs a lot of high speed internet, right? All these things have now started to become available for a good, a normal person, right, in bulk, that too at a very low cost. And that is why you are seeing generative AI so much right now. So while it might not be a very new thing with respect to principle, right, but it's a very new thing with respect to the practicality of it that is being used right now. Now, AI promises an incredible opportunity for industries to innovate and create new business values, right? Here's why. Generative AI is driving very, new opportunities. Now, I've tried to kind of divide them into four major buckets, right? It was a difficult task, but, bear with me. So traditionally, you've needed a ton of resources to extract and manage complex, massive data sets, right? Now AI has processed the world's publicly available data, be it text, audio, or images, and made it accessible to businesses through easy interfaces, right? By being able to understand humans more intuitively, AI is actually making online interactions much easier, allowing doctors and patients to reach their larger audience with a less support staff, right? The very first applications are assisting businesses through content generation. If you want to become a doctor who has a very good, let's say, following in YouTube, the biggest challenge of a YouTuber is to get content right. Now that is no longer a challenge because generative AI can actually go about generating a lot of content for you that you would want to put in your videos, right? So that's also something that generative AI can help you. And finally, the large language models, or generative AI is what we call. There are several ways with varying degrees of expertise needed, right? But at the end of the day, think of it as a friend, as I've told you earlier, right? The more intriguing questions you ask your model, the better questions it's going to become you, right? Because it learns from the input that you're doing, right? So yeah, I think before we get started with the real life Gen AI use cases, I thought we'll probably get started with a poll. So I'll request the folks to actually get the poll started from the back end, and I can share my screen, right? Kedar, are there any other questions as well as the poll is getting ready?
Yeah, there are. So, I mean, there are several application-based questions which we will also take it up later. But Dr. Ketan Mehta has asked that are there any specific AI mobile apps that have come up which doctors can use?
That's a great question. So, that being said, both ChatGPT and Gemini are very mobile friendly, right? So you can go about just opening them on your browser. Chrome is the best browser, of course, and you can simply interact. It's a very light website. It wouldn't take a lot of time, and there's a reason why there's no app right now, because app is gonna ask people to go about downloading that, and then there's a whole full ecosystem. So these are very light websites. You can actually go about accessing them on your phone.
Sure. Dr. Sachin from Gulbarga in Karnataka has asked that whether, ChatGPT Gemini works in smaller towns, So I'm
It
sure they do. But
absolutely, sir. Absolutely, it works in smaller towns, and it works in larger towns. It works in Noida. So yeah, it would work everywhere. Don't worry. So yes, I am not seeing the poll coming up right now. If there's a technical issue with that, we can take the poll a bit later as well. Kunj, if you could confirm that. I've tried refreshing my screen some 2-3 times. Until then, Keda, is any other question? Else we
we'll
can
just
go.
take one more and then
Yes.
you can continue. Yeah. Uh, so Dr. Khushbu asks about, success stories of doctors using it in practice, whether you have come across any.
Absolutely, doctor. So there's a couple of doctors that I consult who are big YouTubers as well, by the way. So I can name one person. There's Dr. BK Roy, who's an endocrinologist in Noida itself. He's a big time YouTuber, and he's using Gen AI for his content as well and for other things as well right now. So yeah, look out for his videos. He's an amazing doctor, and he explains everything in the most, I would say, easiest way, right? And how does he make his content easier? By actually writing his content first and then asking Gemini, can you make this content as easy for a fifth class reader? Something like that, right? That is
Lovely.
motivating. Yeah.
I think so. Shrey, you continue. We'll check up on. Yeah, the poll has come up. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, which is the founder company of ChatGPT? Okay. I'm seeing a lot of questions and answers over here, different ones, very interesting, right? 7 seconds out, and we should have our final answer by then. Perfect. Okay, I'm very impressed by the fact that everyone has answered something or the other. The right answer, of course, is OpenAI over here. And just a bit of more trivia here. Actually, Tesla, or Elon Musk, was actually an investor in OpenAI in the early days, but then he later actually opted out because it was no longer open, and then Microsoft went about acquiring OpenAI. So right now it is actually Microsoft who is the current proprietor of OpenAI, and hence OpenAI over there, or ChatGPT. Perfect. Kunj, if you could move to the next question as well, we'll take one more question if that's possible.
It takes about, yeah.
What's the new name of Bard? There's Bard, there's Gemini, Bardi, yes, Chatgram. Interesting. I think this is going to be a very, very clean sweep. So, yeah, it is, of course, called Gemini. I know there are 10 seconds left, but I can see 70% of 72% have actually already opted for Gemini. You're all correct, of course. I wish it could be Bardi. That was more cooler. But then I think they wanted a name that starts with G over here, right? Cool. We're gonna. These are very interesting questions. Thanks a lot, Kun, for putting these up. I'm gonna get back to the presentation now. I hope you can still see my screen that would say Gen AI use cases, right? Now, I know this was a lot of theory that we covered, right? And I also personally don't like theory. I like more practical things, right? And this is where we're gonna get started with the practicality and real life use cases of Gen AI, right? Now, in order to understand where the Gen AI use cases are, right, let's understand the root cause of it. Houston, we have a problem. It is a data problem. Or let me put it this way, we have a time problem. I was researching about this and I was actually trying to understand an RCA, and I was flabbergasted when I saw that on an average, doctors like you are spending some 16 hours a week just on paperwork and admin tasks, right? This actually would often lead to burnouts, right? And hence I would say that we have a data and a time problem, right? The context is actually here, right? And let's dive a bit deeper into the context. We all know doctors like you, brilliant doctors like you, have a very difficult job, right? This requires considerable amount of domain knowledge and valuable expertise, right? However, much of doctor's time or your time is actually spent filling in sometimes clinical notes, looking up research around new drug offerings, and sometimes just entertaining a patient for very very layman questions, right? In addition, sometimes even language barriers can also impede your care delivery, right? Now, the solution, of course, not a surprise, Gen AI, right? Gen AI has the potential to transform your practice and the overall industry in at least four broad areas, right? And there are many other areas, by the way, but I thought four broad areas are something that we can probably discuss today, right? Of course, we can get started with the administrative and operational efficiency by executing on tasks that can be done by a Gen AI, those repetitive tasks, right? Clinical and care team support by saving doctors time on those written tasks, right? Patient and customer engagement by enhancing chatbots. You saw the example that we started our conversation today with, right? Something like that, right? And that would be your first line of triage. So that's sorted, right? And then advancing research and development, going about researchers at academic medical centers and research programs within hospitals, right? Gen AI has the potential to transform your industry end to end, I would say, right? Let's talk about the top use cases in these four broad areas, right? These four are the top use cases along with their business value. From boosting clinical and admin efficiency to elevating the customer and patient centricity, AI is a friend indeed. Let's now take a look at one of these use cases in depth. Cool. Let's talk about and let's get the ball rolling with boosting clinical efficiency and reducing doctors' burnout, right? The use case over here I've put as document generation and search synthesis, right? So the example here is to automate the process of generating prior authorization draft submission letters for procedures, medication, or medical device approvals. As you can see over here, doctor just went about, asking the model, hey, write a peer request for John Doe. It could be Rajesh Singh as well. 60 years old, high blood pressure, needs a cardiac diagnostic cathedral inserted in certain CPT codes, right? So doctor is simply writing a query, right? And then the AI model is going about generating the letter in seconds that the doctors can use, right? Results, thereby increasing time with patients and speed to patient care, not spending a lot of time on writing certain repetitive tasks, right? So that was all about understanding how chat gpt could give you, or Gemini could give you clinical efficiency and hence reduce your burnout, right? Automating the process of all the admin work that you normally do or your team does, by the way, right? So then let's look at the next example. This is about elevating customer and patient centricity, right? Something that we talked about earlier, how important right now it is to actually, understand the customers and give them the best, right? Now, this example talks about assisting patients in explanation of and in explanation of plans and benefits, connecting them with doctors, their insurance guys, and whatnot, booking appointments, and enhance customer access to service in the most simplified language, right? Example, a pregnant patient, right, interacts with an AI model to find the gynecologist, sign up for classes, and find other relevant information. Again, this saves a lot of time, right? Over here in this example, the patient has actually gone, let's say, on your website, which is enabled by Gen AI or Gemini for that matter on the backend. They are gonna ask certain very trivial question, right? Let's say, is this service covered and will it cost me anything, right? Instead of calling your team and asking such trivial questions, right? Instead of actually calling you at times and asking such trivial questions, all this information is something that the patient can take before even deciding to visit you, right? And hence it will again save a lot of time both for patients and for doctors in your team, right? Moving on, I've covered one other example of elevating consumer and patient centricity, right? This is more of a health plan focus, right? This talks about locating and summarizing and generating health plan customer service responses to improve operational efficiencies and also improving customer experience, right? Again, the example over here is that using Gemini, health plans can quickly and seamlessly provide patients with answers to their questions about coverage and other health and wellness benefits, right? Finally, advancing life science and research development. We know that doctors need to be very much updated in their fields, right? It's not that you've just done engineering once and then you are done in Tata bye bye with your education, right? You guys have to learn every day. The whole idea is that there's so much to actually consume, and AI can actually really help you, right? For example, accelerating generation of numerous clinical reports created out of a trial, right? By synthesizing information from literature, protocol, clinical trial management systems, tables, listing, figures, and I can go on and on. All of that can be done in seconds by ChatGPT or Gemini, right? Now, an example over here is that a doctor over here is automating the generation of a clinical study report based on all the data sources that are available out there on Google, right? And they can go about actually, putting in certain guardrails. Give me information between 21 to 23, right? Or give me information by this particular research program or this particular research firm only, right? So there are a lot of filters that you can go about with. Finally, I also want to discuss a wildcard one, right? This is the one that is being, I would say, generated right now. It has already been there, right? Extending the MedPalm 2, which is again Gemini, right? Beyond language, right? Now, over here, the practice of medicine is inherently getting even more easier, right? What the doctor has done over here, and this is only specifically available for doctors, not patients, right? They can go about just uploading an X-ray to the model, right? And then ask that, what do you think, right, about this X-ray? Something am I missing or something I'm not, right? Again, this is a bit experimental, but this is something that we've already achieved right now, all free, by the way, that you can also use, right? Now, before we actually go about getting our hands dirty on creating your own account and asking Gemini with certain things, right? We need to be, aware of some things, right? We would be going about brainstorming more health use cases, but there are certain AI limitations, right, that we should be aware of. Sometimes, given that is a model that learns from itself, it can give you unexpected outcomes, right? The model can hallucinate as well. So do not rely on it blindly. And I think that's a blessing in disguise as well, because even your patients are not going to rely on the output that a chat GPT or Gemini is giving very, very much blindly, right? So that's important. Second, overestimation of capabilities. Sometimes AI algorithm require an enormous amount of training data, right? However, that training data on that particular subject might be less, and that is why it could give you a limited answer, right? So think of it as a friend who is an expert on all things, but he or she is also learning right now. So treat of it like that way, right? Well, this is the time where we'll get our hands dirty again. I'm going to stop here for any questions and a couple of poll questions, and then we'll actually go about actually opening Gemini and then seeing how do we interact with the model.
Yeah, great, Shreya. Great going. So we have Dr. Sonali checking up that what is the difference between ChatGPT and Gemini on the broader level without going into too much technicalities.
Right. At a consumer level, think of them as two friends with different name. Right. Their backend is very much same, which is a large language model. It's just that one is owned by Microsoft and the other is owned by Google. Now, I am a Google employee. I would always say go about using Gemini. That being said, both of them are great models, and they have their advantages.
Okay. Dr. Siddharth Dhagli says that ChatGPT, he is actually complaining that ChatGPT is not very efficient. In fact, for him, it stopped answering after a few questions, and this has happened multiple times. Have you come across this with either Gemini or ChatGPT?
I have never come across this on Gemini. And again, there's no bias here, of course, right? So I am not speaking this as a Googler. I've never come across this challenge on Gemini. ChatGPT I have used, not that extensively, but even on ChatGPT, my usage, I've never faced such issues. So there could be something wrong in this particular case that we can tackle later on offline.
Got it. Got it. And one last one before the polls is Dr. Arif Muzumdar asks, what about patient privacy on using AI? How does it get affected?
Yeah, it's very private. Both ChatGPT and Gemini, it's extremely private, and you can actually go about putting in certain things as well. As a doctor, if you have 100 patients, you can just tell your model once that respect user privacy, do not give out names, right? So, whenever the patient name would be coming, it would be either redacted or it would be patient XYZ, right? But all in all, it is extremely secure and takes a lot of focus on maintaining privacy of both patients and also on the doctors.
Got it. Yeah.
Cool. I see that our doctors have already answered this. ChatGPT and Gemini are the kind of platforms which are called generative AI. So I know for a fact that you guys have been listening. So yeah, that's amazing. If you could move to the next question as well, Kunz, over there. Until then, Kedar, any other question?
Yeah.
Okay, the
I think so.
poll has also come up, yeah. Which are the number one top professions that have adopted generative AI? Plumbers, carpenters, electricians, very interesting. Sportsperson, cab drivers and shopkeepers, doctors, lawyers and teachers, and police, politicians. Interesting. Absolutely. I think we don't even have to wait for another 30 seconds. It is for a fact that the doctors, lawyers, and teachers are the biggest users of it, right? Even bigger users than techies like me, right? And that's a fact that I've been working on that research as well. And why they've been using it, because there of course is a barrier to just get started on it once. Once they get started on it, they understand that how amazing of a tool this is and how it can actually make their mundane task very, very easy, and then they just don't go back, right? So of course doctors, lawyers and teachers are the biggest users. Now is the time where I'm going to go and share my screen. Just give me 1 second as I open a new incognito window. I hope you're seeing an incognito window right now. So how do I go about accessing Gemini, right? just like that, just like I ask everything to my favorite friend, which is Google right now. So I'm just going to just go and type Gemini on my search bar. So the moment I type Gemini and hit enter, the very first link is going to be this only, right? You click on here. This is how it is going to look like. Pretty fancy, right? All you have to do is then go to sign in. Click on this. You need to enter your email ID. For me, that will be my corporate email ID over here, right? So I've written my email ID. I'm again giving it like being very slow. I went to Google. I put in Gemini. I hit enter. Then it asked me to go about signing in. This is the sign in page. I give my email ID. For you, that could be your Gmail ID, right? I put it over here. It's gonna ask for a password, right? So I'm gonna give my password now. Give me some second. All right, I'm not gonna click on show password, of course. And yeah, this is it. It is gonna, of course, take some time to load, and voila, we have Gemini open. I'm now going to give it 10 seconds for any of you who would want to also do this as I do this right now. Yeah. But this is how it should look like. For you, it wouldn't be Gemini Advanced, it would be just Gemini. I am a Googler, so I have Gemini Advanced. That being said, that's not a major difference between two, right? And the results that you'll see today would be the same that you'll see in Gemini Basic, right? So that's fine. Cool. So talking about the user interface, this is how it is going to look like. You don't have to click on these things as of now, right? Over here on the left, if you've used Gemini earlier, it is going to give you like a history of the interaction that you've had, right? For example, I'm planning a Japan trip, so I went about asking for a 10-day Japan itinerary. Then I went about asking defining Japan itinerary. Then there's a meeting that I had to prep for. There's a prep thing for that. So everything with respect to the history is all over here. And you can also go about deleting this, or there's an option also to go about not having this at all here. Again, the privacy angle is right. So now this is where I'm gonna go about asking for certain prompts, right? Now I have certain prompts with me as well. So let me open those prompts. Give me just 1 second. Brilliant. So yeah. Okay, here it is. So this is the prompt that I put in. Generate a patient handout in Hindi on the causes, symptoms, and treatments options for underactive thyroid suitable for a patient, right? And then I write male, for example, right? And then right now, let's not put Hindi for now. Let's just write a handout here, and then that's it. And I just simply go about clicking submit. Now, as I've clicked submit over here, and let me just go about, and there you have it, right? So it has now given me a big long, I would say handout over here, right? Now, let's say I tell them, hey, this is nice, but too long. Here are some notes. Okay, number one, I asked them, patient with a 5th grade reading level, right? Number two, not more than 1 page long, preferably in Hindi language. Okay, and you saw I also made a couple of typos there. Let's see if they're understanding. And right here it is come, right? Thyroid kamzor hone par, my Hindi is not so great, not very proud of that, by the way. But now it is also telling me the lakshans and everything, right? क्या करें, कैसे करें, ध्यान रखें and all that, right? तनाव कम करने की कोशिश करें and what not, right? For example, I can also ask this is good, give me the same in Tamil, right? Let's
This
see.
is amazing. Shreya, this is amazing.
Yeah.
One thing I'm noticing is you are actually chatting, having a conversation with,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, and hence the whole idea of it, right? You don't have to do it. This is something we call this as a natural language model, right?
Yeah.
The more human you're going to treat it, right, the better answers it will give you. Is what I have realized from my own thing, right? And that's why I always give it and give a pep talk as well. Hey, this is good, but why don't you give me like this? Just like a friend or conversation my dad has with me every other week about my expectations with life. Well, that being said, now the good thing is that you can go about exporting all of this with a single click, right? So I'm not sure if everyone is well versed in Tamil, so I'm going to go back to the English one, right? And over here, give me just 1 second. You see this link. This is sharing and exporting. So I click on this, and it gives me like export to docs, right? So as I click on this, it is now telling me I am creating a document over here, right? It'll take like 2 or 3 seconds to go about creating a document. Now it is done. I just say open docs. So that document is now opening, right? Right now I might not have access to it because I have opened an incognito one. Let me open this over here, which is not an incognito one. Just give me 1 second. Da-da-da-da. Yeah, so that should also work once I am out of incognito. So all of these things are more than easy to go about exporting, right? That's the best part of it. I am coming back to the main chat GPT thing. Give me just 1 second. Perfect. I'm here now. Cool. Now that was just one example. Let me now cover another prompt with you guys, which is a bit different, right? So let me open that prompt. By the way, I got these prompts also from Gemini itself, right? Cool. So let's say this is a differential diagnosis support prompt, right? So I open a new chat, right? And I have just put, I have a patient presenting with fatigue, unexplained weight gain, and hair loss. Provide a list of possible diagnoses along with key distinguishing features of each, right? So I go about typing that, right? Now, by default, I have not mentioned a lot of things about patients over here, right? Give me just 1 second. Yeah. It should
While you bring that up, Shreya, I just wanted to update the doctors who would have joined in late. The first session by Shreya is going to create the basics. We are kind of revisiting everything on generative AI. Dr. Lakhani will dive down deeper into the applications, right down to your clinical practice. Yeah, Shreya, please go on.
Perfect. So yeah, this is one of the prompts that I was talking about earlier, right? And something that we talked about is that as a model, I said that it will never replace doctor's job, right? And it has now talked about that I am just a language model. I cannot help you with that directly because it has somehow sensed that this is a patient who's asking for certain diagnosis without going to the doctor. There's a reason why I put this there, right? Now you can go about interacting more. I understand I am a doctor myself. Just give me some generic info for my health. Let's see if it'll help me now. It might not as well, right? Yeah. So now that I've told that, as an absolutely as a fair doctor, I can provide you some general information that might be helpful in your practice. And then there you have it, the answers that we were looking for, right? So that's the idea, right? I'm going to cover one more, right? We wanted to talk about admin task, right? So this is asking draft a follow-up email for a patient who recently had a thyroid function test TFT and explain the results of TSH T3 T4 in simple terms, outline the next steps and treatment plan. Okay, let's see what the model is going to give it. Here you have it. This is your entire email, right? Again, I told you about the privacy. There's a doctor who asked, they've specifically mentioned patient's name, right? Right. Now, this is a very generic one, right? What is it? This is good. Some notes. Patient name is Shah Rukh Khan. He is all good. Just ask him to exercise more and maybe cut on smoking. And this is what the model is going to take, right? Dear Shah Rukh Khan, I hope this email finds you well. This is a follow-up email on these things. I'm pleased to inform you that it indicates your thyroid gland is functioning properly. To maintain your thyroid health, go about exercise and then, of course, cutting back on smoking. And it can be even get more crazier and more useful as and when you will want it, right? I'm going to cover one more, which is more on the research assistance right now. As we all know that you have to remain updated, right? This talks about find the latest clinical trials in India investigating the use of new insulin analogs or oral hypoglycemic agents for type 2 diabetes, include the trial phase, locations, and enrollment criteria. Here you go, right? And now I can also ask, and you know, it gives you sometimes a lot of good images as well, right? And I can also go about then, you know, refining this even more, that give me something that is attested by a doctor who has an experience of more than 30 years or something like, right? So we can go about that. And then the beauty of it, sometimes it also, every time it would go about giving you sources as well, right? Last, a very wildcat one. I am a doctor aspiring to become a YouTuber, helping patients realize the importance of lifestyle changes in India. Give me certain YouTube shorts, videos, ideas that can make me go viral. Ensuring that you are taking into account that I am an endocrinologist and work out of India. All right, that's a lot of data that I just asked the my dear friend Gemini over here. Give it some time, and here we go. Right. So absolutely some YouTube short videos tailored for an endocrinologist in India aiming to go viral, emphasizing lifestyle changes, right? The before and after diabetes transformation, and you know a lot of things, right? Busting diabetes in 15 seconds or something like that. And then I can even go ahead and interact. Hey, I like this one. I like this one. Create a narrative for me that fills a 10-minute video. I wouldn't recommend a 10-minute video, by the way, but let's say if I ask it, right? And yeah, here it is. Opening, engaging the hook, introduction, whatnot. Myth one, eating rice causes diabetes. So it is going that deep to actually help you understand and become the YouTuber or the best doctor or the most efficient doctor or a person that you want to become. So yeah, I think that was it on with respect to the live cases. I think it's a good time to open for questions. I think Kedar.
Sure, Shrey. So, a couple of questions have come up, which Dr. Sonali and Dr. Neeraj have asked that can we get something like a ready-made poster or a ready reckoner where we will learn what are the prompts to be put in. Just wanted to update Dr. Sonali and Dr. Neeraj that, Alembic team will be providing post this program exactly that, which will help you in your daily practice. So that was just a clarification. But Dr. Ravindra Deshpande has asked one question, which I don't know whether you can answer this, Shrey, but I've seen lots of blunders in AI generated MRI reports, especially in pulmonology and chest physician cases. So things so Shrey, that should be for Dr. Lakhani, right?
Ideally, yes. I can just mention one thing on that. I leave the doctor angle out of it. As I've said earlier, this is a learning model, right? And it can a lot of times, not a lot of times, but it can at times, of course, give you certain information that might not be factually correct, right? So yeah, expect. That is why I say whatever is generated, do read it, right? I mean, on a very light note, let's say if I'm copying something from my friend in an examination, I'll still have certain hat on if he or she is writing the correct thing, right? Just like that, right? So have a pinch of salt or rather a grain of salt when you're looking at the results and then adopting them. Always
Sure.
read. Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Varun Sibal asks, how do we go to advanced Gemini?
All right, so Advanced Gemini Doctor is a paid service, right? Again, Advanced Gemini, but that being said, honestly, for you right now, Basic Gemini is more than enough, right? Even for me, by the way, right? I have an Advanced Gemini because I am a Googler, and my by default I get Advanced Gemini because I'm testing it as I speak, right? It is a paid service, but I shouldn't say this, but you don't have to buy it right now, honestly.
Got it. Uh, And Dr. Resham asks that, can we generate infographics and diagrams in, generative AI? And are there any specific prompts for getting that?
Absolutely. So you can go about generating graphics in your with Gemini as well, right? And just the prompts wouldn't be very specific. The prompts would be just again the conversation that I had, right? And then let's there was an email that I had put in, right, for Shah Rukh Khan, and then I actually then go about why don't you add in the email certain graphics of exercises, right, or maybe certain do's and don'ts, and it will generate it, right? If you are specifically however looking for generative AI that just generates images, there is a separate generative model called doll E, which is just for text to images, right? Again, that's very experimentative. That being said, every image cannot have a human face, so it will just infographics. So yeah, if just images, then we use dolly. Otherwise Gemini is going to help you end to end.
Right. I'll take this moment to welcome Dr. Lakhani. Dr. Lakhani will be talking much more details on the applications. But still, we have a couple of questions for Shreya that there's a follow-up question. Can PowerPoint presentations be generated?
Absolutely. So what can happen is that you can. So there's a slight flip to it. It can give you the entire narrative, what needs to be put on slide and whatnot. But not to generate a PowerPoint presentation, what needs to happen is that you can give a prompt that why don't you go about designing a code that could help me generate a PowerPoint presentation, right? So it will design everything. That code needs to go in the backend of PowerPoint, right? And then it will help you generate like a proper presentation, PowerPoint presentation, right? Parts of the presentation that I did for you today were actually generated by Gemini itself. It's just that it wouldn't give you direct, power to generate PowerPoint presentation. It'll give you a code that needs to be embedded in PowerPoint. So yeah, just one simple step there. And by design, we're not doing that right now because direct PowerPoint presentation, as we all know, sometimes the results are not right when they come out, right? So you're then making certain edits in the PowerPoint presentation. So once you're done with that code and you know this code is 100% there, you can go about designing the presentation.
Yeah. And you mentioned Dolly, right? So Dolly, if you can spell it for Dr.
It's
Resham.
D as in Delhi, A as in Agra, L as in London, DALL dot E. Doll E. E as in England. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Couple of last ones. All right, Dr. Panda has just joined in. So if you can quickly re-summarize or summarize for the benefit of everybody.
Absolutely, Dr. Parna, welcome, and for other folks as well who've joined late. What we've covered over the last 55 odd minutes is, we started with a great example of how generative AI is already helping your patients and doctors right now. Went about understanding the very, very importance of for doctors to adopt this wonderful technology or tool, which at the face of it looks pretty, tech heavy, but it is designed in the most easiest way. So there's no learning curve for doctors to actually learn this. And then finally, we actually also went about, showing certain live examples how doctors could go about generating clinical reports or doing certain admin tasks that they spend a lot of time during the week, and all of that can be automated using Gemini AI.
All right. Dr. Tanmay, they has given an update on Dolly. It is saying we are no longer allowing new users to Dolly 2 or Dolly 3. And we have started rolling out image editing. It is available for ChatGPT Plus, Team, and Enterprise and OpenAI API only.
Yeah, so that is where the money angle comes in. Dolly was a free tool, right? But I think they've recently made it kind of premium. That being said, doctor, if you want to really get into this, just type text to image generative AI free on Google. There would be a ton of models, right? That you can actually go about exploring. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Shreya, two last questions. First is that today we are having a sizable crowd. And in the crowd, we will be having a lot of doctors who will be right at the, beginner level and then advanced level. But especially for beginners, it gets very overwhelming, sometimes scary to get onto this world. what is your recommendation on this? And I can have Dr. Lakhani's views as well on this. That, is it scary or it's really not scary? I mean, what's your opinion?
It's really not. And had my my driver would have been asking that, I would have agreed. You guys are doctors, like the most talented folks in the country or the world, right? It is going to be very easy. You spend like your life in studying and actually helping other patients, right? And as I said, right, it looks very difficult and it looks very tech savvy, right? So my 64-year-old father, he's using Gemini more than me right now, and he's not a doctor, and he comes from a very commerce background, right? Spent all his life in industries, right? So he's using Gemini more than me right now. Once you start using it, and once you get a feel of it, it's much easier. And all throughout, the way I was typing, right, I was typing by example right now, right? Think of it that you're interacting with your friend, or maybe next time when you're talking to Gemini, think of it that you're interacting with Shrey, right? If that helps, right? The more friendly you're going to be with it, right, the more actually it's going to feel like there's no technology here. It's more of that I'm actually interacting with a human, right? Just take the plunge, start using it. You're not going to come back.
Dr. Lakhani, any initial views?
No, I think it could seem a little overwhelming in the beginning, but as you start using it, like Shrey very rightly said, I think once you start using it and start adapting to it and start understanding how it functions, I think it's pretty easy. In fact, like Shrey said, about his father, my 10-year-old daughter does it very well. In fact, she does a few things better than me, and teaches me a couple of things. So I think it's very easy.
All right. Last one for you, Shrey, before you bow out is we all have heard Google has a very, very fancy office, great pizzas and everything. Is it true?
Yeah, I mean it's very true. I try not to. I actually try not to do a cafeteria, but yeah, there's one thing called like so. I know I'll just spend 30 seconds on this. Every Googler when they join, they're called nooglers, right? They are new to Google, and there's actually by fact a thing called noogler weight. By fact, whenever a person joins Google in the first 6 months, they go about increasing their weight by some 6 8 kilos, right? So for a fact that it is all great food. Yeah, but I try not to have it. Otherwise, I face the guilt of having those that food for the next 2 days.
Uh, Well, it's been wonderful to have you, Shrey, and really giving us the basics, the lowdown on that, and hope to meet you again. Right.
Absolutely, doctors. Thanks again for the service that you guys do for us. And yeah, ChatGPT and Gemini is just like nothing for you. So use it for your own benefit. Have a good one, folks. Bye bye.
Thank you, Shrey. All right. We now enter into our next session, which will enter into the applications in daily practice. Let me introduce our next speaker, Dr. Om J. Lakhani. Dr. Lakhani is a leading consultant endocrinologist based in Ahmedabad, who is also an expert on the use of generative AI in the field of diabetes management. Dr. Lakhani is a consultant with the Zydus Hospital. He's a national board certified endocrinologist, and his qualifications include DNB endocrinology from Sir Gangaram and MD and MBBS from the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda. He has an outstanding academic record with 4 gold medals in MBBS, 2 gold medals in MD medicine examination, and the President's NBE gold medal in DNB endocrinology. He also holds a specialty certificate in endocrinology and diabetes from the Royal College of Physicians, UK. His expertise includes diabetes mellitus, thyrotoxicosis, pituitary disorders, endocrine oncology, with a special interest in the use of new technology in the management of diabetes. Dr. Lakhani's clinical research paper in generative AI in diabetes management has been read, multifold, and the paper is called Artificial Intelligence in Diabetes Management and Research. We will be sharing that paper with all of you all. Welcome, Dr. Lakhani, and eager to hear you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kedar, for the kind introduction, and thank you to Alembic and to Whitespace for having me for this. Let me start by sharing my screen. Yeah, is my slide visible?
Yes, Dr. Lakan.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I think, first of all, I think Shrey, I should have listened to Shrey's talk earlier, because he said that, you don't need to pay for Gemini Advanced. Actually paid $18 for that. But it was money well spent. So, but I'm not going to discuss, Gemini. Now we are going to focus on Chat GPT, the other side of the garage, and that's basically Chat GPT and AI in diabetology and endocrinology. That's my talk today. Now, this is the outline for the discussion. So we are going to talk about, we'll introduce ChatGPT and some of its features. So like Shrey demonstrated Gemini, I'm going to demonstrate ChatGPT. We are then going to switch to using AI in day-to-day clinical practice with special reference to diabetes and endocrinology. And then if we have time, we'll lay the foundation to computational medicine. That's something which I've been trying to develop over a period of time. But before we begin, it's time to have fun. I was given a brief that of course there will be a lot of doctors, but there are a lot of doctors who are light-hearted fun. So let's have a little fun. So one of the brilliant uses of AI, which is still rapidly emerging, is use of AI for generating songs, for generating music. Okay, there is an app called Suno, which some of it is free. You can use it, it doesn't cost too much as well. So if you're really into music, and I know a lot of doctors here are interested in music, you can actually generate brilliant music using Suno, right? So why I'm saying this, because yesterday I thought, let's start with something fun. So we started by making a song. It took me all of about 30 minutes to make the song. Listen to it. Give me your feedback, and someday this will be on Spotify, so you can probably stream it there.
If your sugar's climb too high or dip way too low, wondering what's up,
I hope you can hear the song.
Know. When your weight swings wildly, be it high or be it low, grab your phone and dial it to the end. Oh, you should go. Need an endo when your body's out of sync. From your thyroid to your glucose, they'll link what you think. Need an endo, they're the ones to trust. Turn your health around and get you feeling just right. Is your height not quite right? Growing less or maybe more? An endocrinologist will help you explore cycles off the track, too frequent or too few. And it's got the knack to fix you up brand new. Thyroid slow, baby rushing, feeling weird, but you don't know why. An expert with a gentle touch, the endo won't let slide by. Need an endo when your body's out of sync. From your thyroid to your glucose, they'll link what you think. Need an endo, they're the ones to trust. With their help, regain the balance, it's a must. So if your sugar's
So I guess you get the drift. Well, this is using Suno, right? You can try doing yourself. If you have some great lyrics, I know a lot of doctors who are poets. If you've written a very nice poem, or maybe some lyrics, you can probably make a music out of it, music video also out of it. I'm then going to jump straight to my first poll, and we had. Can we run the poll? So while we wait for the poll, Kedar, what do you think of the song?
I think so. It was amazing. And I'm surprised that in 30 minutes this is possible.
Yeah. So, that's it's just needs a bit of prompting, right? A little bit of knowledge about, various music styles, and that's it. Okay. So this is the poll question here. As you can see, what we asked is, are you using any kind of paid AI tools, right? That's the question. Some of you, you could be using Chat GPT, you could be using Gemini. Like I said, I paid $18 for Gemini Advanced. A lot of you are not using it. Well, in fact, most of you are not using a paid version right now. I think, we'll discuss the pros and cons of having a paid system here. Okay, so let me then jump back right to my presentation again. Yeah, so
Dr. Lakan, there is only one request.
Yeah.
If you slightly move to the right, because your image, I think, so blocking the slide in between. Just a small request.
Okay, just a second. I think I will. Yeah, I'll just reshare my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, does this work better?
All right. Brilliant.
Yeah. Okay, great. So then let's move to ChatGPT, and we'll introduce ChatGPT to you, and then we'll go on to see some use cases of the same in medical practice. But before that, a few rules that I always discuss this whenever we are so general. These are three rules which I use for learning day-to-day things. First, be curious, right? It's very interesting, very important that you're curious about the world. A lot of doctors by nature are curious, right? We want to know new things, we want to learn new things, right? And in fact, I've been told that there are so many people who have joined this presentation today. You're all curious, right? Which is something you need to hold for the rest of your life because it's something very useful. Be a tinkerer, right? Shrey said, you will probably learn using ChatGPT or Gemini by doing it yourself. So the best way to learn is to actually start doing it, right? And that's something, I would keep experimenting, keep trying new things. Do a little bit of it every day, about 5 to 10 minutes of every day. Use ChatGPT, use Gemini a little bit every day. Once you start using a little bit for small day-to-day tasks like planning your trip or maybe writing your, documentation summary or so on, we'll show you some other use cases as well. So whatever works for you, start using it a little bit, bit by bit every day, and then you'll be much better at it. Maybe next year or maybe 6 months down the line, you will be hosting this presentation yourself. So the best way actually is to do along with, try using it yourself, try getting your hands dirty, and that's the best way of doing it. So, whatever I'm going to show in the next few minutes, you please feel free to open your browser window and start doing these things yourself along with me. I think that's something which is going to be useful. Okay, so let's then dwell into ChatGPT. But Shrey talked a little bit about this, and the key, really, the basic fundamental of getting a lot out of these generative AI tools is to know how to prompt, right? So prompting, right, is something which is very important. Prompting is, so this is like, Alibaba's, cave, where basically all you required was the right password, whatever it was, Pulja Sim Sim or whatever. So you just need to know there is a treasure out there. You need to know how to unlock this treasure, and this unlocking of this treasure is by prompting. Okay. Now it may seem again overwhelming at times, when you go too deep into prompting. But what like Shrey very rightly said, I think keep it simple. I don't want to make it too complex. Just like you have a natural conversation with your assistant or with your resident doctor or with your support staff or with your nursing staff or with your receptionist. I think you give them certain instructions, that look, do this, call this person, call this patient, inform this patient that the surgery is cancelled, right? So on and so forth, right? Just like you give instructions in your natural language to your assistants. Same way, this is an assistant where you have to give them some sort of some sort of a prompt, and right, and by giving this prompt, you actually unlock the entire thing, right? Now, to structure a prompt properly, there are certain rules for it, right? Again, you need not always follow these rules, but if you know them, it's always better. So first, define the task. What do you want the generative AI tool to do, or what do you want the Chat GPT to do? For example, you could say, help me summarize this document, or so on and so forth. Then you need to give context to it. So what do you want to summarize, right? You need to give the full text for you to sort of summarize, or full text for them to generate. Give them an example, right? Sometimes, for example, you want the thing in a particular format or a particular language. You can give some example of that. Give it a persona, okay? Now, this is where I saw Shrey prompting a little bit. When, he made this mistake, right? So if you give a persona, the unlocking is better. For example, Gemini refused to give certain examples which was related to medicine. If you had said that I'm a doctor myself, or think of yourself as a doctor, give a persona to it, then you'll be able to unlock things in a better way. You need to give the format in which you want the output, right? If you want an output like a markdown format or an HTML format, you need to tell them, you need to specify, and if you specify, you'll get the format, and you can have a tone, right? So I want a formal tone, I want a friendly tone, I want a business tone, right? Whatever tone you want, you can always specify, right? So if you follow these rules for prompting, you get better outputs out of it in the first go itself. But of course, by learning yourself, by thinking around, tweaking a little bit, you'll learn a lot of these things yourself in your own way. And probably, like I said, you'll find ways of doing this even without the structured format. But if you want to follow, this is the format you can form, right? For example, let's say I want to extract the phone numbers from an Excel sheet, right? So this is the task. The context is, you have the Excel sheet which you have uploaded. Example is, for example, this will be the phone number. Persona is like, you can say you're a data management expert. You want the output in a CSV format, or you can, and tone here is not important, right? So this is an ideal prompt, right? So if you give all the things in the prompt, in the first go itself, you'll get the output which you desire. But sometimes, by, again, tweaking and learning, you'll be able to get a lot of these things on your own way and learning things better way. So this is an example. You can do it in your own way. You can learn it in your own way, but this is some way which works best. Okay, so let's then go into ChatGPT. So again, like I said, you can start doing this along with me. ChatGPT was first developed, is from OpenAI. Like Shrey already told you the background of it. OpenAI was an open source system, which was then further acquired. So currently it is still an open source, but it is a lot of it investment. Actually, the majority investment comes from Microsoft right now. So it is basically a subsidy in a sense to Microsoft. There are a lot of politics also behind it. Let's not get into that. The point is that currently it's a tool which is under the wings of Microsoft. You can access this by going to chat.openai.com. This is the ChatGPT, which is the trademark of OpenAI, right? So this is the link to it. So you can go there. When you go there, you'll see a screen like this. You can either log in or sign up. So you'll have to you're doing this for the first time, you'll have to sign up with the ChatGPT, with the ChatGPT system, and then you can log in from there, right? When you open it, after the sign up, you'll see a screen like this, right? Here it is giving you examples of what you can do with this, capabilities, the limitations. All of these will be there right in front of you in the screen. On the top, you'll see GPT 3.5 and GPT 4. I'll explain what these things are in a minute, right? But this is the screen it will look like, and below there'll be a place where you can put your prompt, right? So this will look something like this when you open it. So again, if you're using this right now, you can try doing it yourself, and then you can check it out how it works, right? So this is the link again. I'll go to the link again, chat.openai.com, or you can use Google to search for ChatGPT, and you'll find something like this, right? So once you log in, after the sign up, this will be something like this. Okay, now this is where a lot of people will ask this: what is the difference between ChatGPT 3.5 and GPT 4? Well, GPT 3.5 it's just like the Google Gemini basic and advanced. Same here, right? We have a 3.5 and a 4 version. 3.5 is the free version, and GPT 4 is the paid version, right? The difference is GPT 4 is more advanced and more capable. However, it used to be slower. In fact, it's now faster. So I think this is a little outdated in that sense. It's quite fast itself, right? But the difference is GPT 3.5 is much faster, but it is free, right? So GPT 3.5 is the older version, which is free. GPT 4 is the newer version, which is advanced. And then for the newer version, you'll have to pay for it, right? So that's the difference between these two. How much to pay for it? Well, ChatGPT has a plan, which is the free plan, which is, you can see on the left, the free plan, which uses GPT 3.5 model, but you can upgrade to the plus plan, which costs you $20 a month, right? This is almost the same cost as Google Gemini Advanced. So the cost is almost the same, and $20 is about 1,500 to 1,800 rupees per month. So this is the approximate cost which you'll have. You can use your credit card to pay for it, right? If you are interested, I think it's probably if you want to use AI and you want to spend the best 2,000 rupees a month, I think this is the best money you can spend, right? So it's definitely worth every dollar that you spend on it. So it's worth the money. But again, let me make a disclaimer here. I have no affiliation with OpenAI, right? Whatever it is, it's out of my love for it, right? So whether you pay for it or not, I get nothing out of it. But the point is that it's something, which is worth paying for. Now, somebody asked in the previous presentation earlier that do you have an application for Gemini? Well, Gemini doesn't have an application. Luckily, ChatGPT has an application, right? So this is the application. You can download this app from either your Google or your Apple Play Store. And it's called the ChatGPT. There are a lot of other apps which look very similar to this, right? So don't be fooled by it. It should say it's the official app by OpenAI, right? Below it, right? So if this is how the app looks like, then you got the right app, right? In fact, everything you can do on the computer, you can do on the app. That's the best part. It's a beautiful app. It's a very fast app, very responsive, works very well. So everything, like I said, which you can do on the computer, you can do on the app, right? It's at least for the Apple version, which I use, the iPhone version I use, it's very good, very, very useful, right? So you can download this app and start using it straight away from the app itself. I'll show you an example where I use the app also, so to give you an idea of how beautiful the app is and how useful it is for your work. Now, let's look at the features of ChatGPT Plus, right? So the basic ChatGPT is what was a very basic thing. ChatGPT Plus is the advanced version where it is paid, right? But ChatGPT Plus gives you a lot of options, a lot of add-ons which are very useful to you. So some of these features, what I'm going to show in the next few minutes, a lot of it will be paid, some of it will be free also. So you can use some of the features for free, but in certain cases you'll have to pay for it, right? So this is where I'll tell you where the difference really lies. So bear with it. But I'm going straight to the most advanced features you have, and then I'll also tell you where you can probably get the same thing for free. Right now, when you go to a ChatGPT Plus subscription, it will look something like this, right? The screen will look a little different. Here you can see here on the bottom you can see this kind of clip. Right, this is where you can actually upload some sort of files. You can upload a PDF file, you can upload a Excel sheet, you can upload a picture, you can upload a document. All those things you can upload, and then beside it, it says Message ChatGPT. That is where you type the prompt, right? So you can type your prompt, based on whatever you uploaded, or you need not even upload anything. You can directly start typing the prompt. On the top, you can see where it says ChatGPT 4. This is where you can change the version which you want to use. You can use either GPT-4 or you can use GPT 3.5 depending on what you want to use. You want a more advanced version, GPT-4, otherwise you can use the lower version. On the left side, you can see on the top, these are all custom GPTs, right? I'll tell you what custom GPTs are in a few minutes, right? So this is all custom GPT. This is something which is very, beautiful from ChatGPT Plus, where a lot of creative people have made their own custom GPTs, and these custom GPTs are something which have, each of them have a very specific function and specific role. So you can all use that. Some of these custom GPTs are very useful for medicine. So I'm going to discuss some custom GPTs which are useful for medical practice, specific ones, right, which you can start using it themselves. On the left, you can actually all the previous discussions you had with ChatGPT, all of them are available on the left side. So you can yesterday these were the discussions I had, right? So you can, all these things are transcribed. You can also, of course, delete it if you want privacy, but you don't want your wife or your children to see it. You can delete it. But the point is that it's all available to you. So you can again in future go back and see some file you lost or some answer which you wanted. Again, you can go back and review it again because it's all saved in your system. Okay. Now, in fact, there's a new feature now that when you start interacting with ChatGPT, it also remembers your previous interactions. So because it can remember your previous interactions, sometimes it helps you further in further future interaction. Now, so for example, now you have said frequently that you are an endocrinologist. It now understands that you are an endocrinologist. So every time it's not going to lock you, say that no, I cannot give you this treatment, right? Like it locked Shay. It's not going to lock you because now it understands that you're an endocrinologist or you're a diabetologist or you're a physician. It can then understand that you probably need more information. Then you will probably give it to a general patient. Okay, so let's look at all the features of GPT Plus, right? Okay, so this is you can directly here what we did, we asked ChatGPT itself, what are all the features that you have to offer, right? So this is where it's just a simple way of prompting. You can say list all the current features of GPT Plus, right? So here it says GPT Plus is it's a paid plan, right? These are all the features, right? And they can keep asking, expand on this. Right. So here I made a very, not a great prompt, right? So then I had to say, great, now expand more on this, right? So it says that, these are the features of it, right? And so on and so forth, right? Again, it will require some iterations. Now, what is very interesting, it also gives you a link here, right? It gives you a link here and you can open that and you can, see what is the source of the document which it's come from, right? A lot of you, I anticipate this question and a lot of you are going to ask me this hallucination, right? A lot of you will say that, does it lie to me? Does it make up things? Well, it used to make up and used to lie things, but now it has improved hallucination to a great extent. Now it doesn't hallucinate. In fact, GPT-4 very rarely does hallucinate. It gives you the correct information. But what is beautiful is that it actually gives you the source of the information. It gives you where the information has come from. That's why you can cross-check and verify where the information comes from. And this is where it said it took the information from the official OpenAI website. So you can go and cross-verify the information from there, right? So this is where Shrey repeatedly told you that do not 100% rely on the information, always cross-check it. But now you have means to cross-check it. It will give you the source from which it has got the data, and you can go and then cross-check the source and verify the source so that you know that you have got the right information, right? So this is something which is very interesting. You can see a little bit Gemini also open on the top, right? So, a big fan of that as well, right? So the point being that you can actually now check the source. And again, gone are the days. A lot of you are still stuck in that. There used to be a line below that we have only data up till September 2021. That line you will not see further in ChatGPT. Currently, it has all the updated data, and in fact, it is now integrated with search so that it will, in fact, it will give you the latest information also, right? The current information also it can give you, right? So all that thing about, it was in the past that, we have only, data up till September 21. That used to be a problem maybe a year back, but it's not a problem anymore. You'll always get the current information if you so ask for it, right? So that is what it is. So, you can get the features of ChatGPT Plus, or even in ChatGPT Basic also, you'll get the latest things which are all available to you now in the system, right? Okay. Further, let's look at some settings which you can do. So if you're using a GPT Plus subscription, there are certain tweaks you can do, right? You can see on the settings page, you can change the theme, right? You can make it a dark theme, or you can make it a light theme, right? This is something called expand code output, right? So sometimes I'll show you the features of coding also, which it does. You can actually, expand how it has coded everything. You can have some beta features, some new features which they want to try, some data control features, and all these things. You can have a builder profile here, right? In the builder profile, you can actually say here itself, right, that you can personalize the profile, and especially when you're making your own custom GPT, people can have a look at it. Okay, this custom GPT is made by Dr. Om, so it probably gives you more reliability in terms of this custom GPT and other things, right? Okay. Let's look at it further. So these are all the features which you have currently available with the GPT Plus subscription. GPT-4 Plus, which is a faster and better system. You can have now an embedded search with Bing. Bing is the Microsoft's search engine, right? Just like Google, right? So you can now search within ChatGPT itself. You can search with Bing. There are some embedded plugins you can use. You can also develop your own custom GPT, which I already talked to you and which I'll talk to you in future. Also, a lot of you asked about this. You have something called DALL-E. DALL-E is the system where you can generate images. I'll show you examples of image generation also. This was a question which somebody asked in the last presentation. I'm going to cover this as well here. DALL-E is from OpenAI, which Shrey did not say this, but DALL-E is from OpenAI. DALL-E is the system where you can use to generate images, right? Now, this is built into the ChatGPT itself, right? So it's built into the ChatGPT Plus subscription. So if you have a Plus subscription, you don't have to pay extra for DALL-E. You can get DALL-E straight away. It has something called GPT Vision, which is fantastic. This is the most useful thing for doctors. This is a computer vision tool, which is very, very useful. It has access to GPT Store for free, where you have all the custom GPTs. You have OpenAI Code Interpreter, which is something very cool. I'll show you. And in future, there's something going to be called OpenAI Sora. Just Google OpenAI Sora, or look at some YouTube videos of OpenAI Sora. It is going to blow your mind. OpenAI Sora is where you can make movies, right? You can make short movies which look so realistic that you will be amazed by it, right? I already show you Suno, where you can actually make your own music. In future, you'll be able to make your own movies, right? You'll be your own, Karan Johar or what may you, right? So that's the idea. Okay. Now let me show you some examples. I think I'll pause here. Maybe we can take a question or two, Kedar, if we have some questions already flowing in.
Yeah, Dr. Lakhani, this is superb. Dr. Agarwal has already complimented you on the vibes that the way you're running your session. But many doctors have asked regarding X-rays on ChatGPT and Gemini. Is that possible? And basis that, does it diagnose anything?
Yeah, it will. I'll show you the examples of that when we go to the clinical examples.
Okay. Then, Dr. Bakshi is asking whether we can use it for stat analysis for research. We will again, we'll give you the examples of that as well. Okay. So I think so many of them are.
So they'll be answered as we move along. So I think we can move along in that sense, right? Okay. Sounds good. Okay, so great for paying attention. Now let's move give you some real life examples of using ChatGPT and some features of that, right? So you can again start doing this with me if you have a GPT Plus subscription. So let's do a very basic generative AI function using you can do a very basic GPT, basic generative AI function using GPT 3.5. Okay, so here, for example, you can use a simple prompt. I have some apples, some milk, some almonds, some butter, and maybe some honey. Can you suggest a good health recipe for me? Right. So you just put this as a prompt into the Chat GPT. This can be done with a very basic Chat GPT system. Also, you don't need the advanced fancy version of it. Right. So just put this here, right, into the system. You can put it here. Just copy it and paste this, and it will start generating recipes for that. Right. So I'll switch to the directly to the answer. As you can see, maybe I think some of you may not be able to see this completely. It's a little small, but here you can clearly see that it will show you that these are the ingredients you have. So you can make something like a apple almond butter smoothie, right, with the ingredients you have, right. So for example, if you are if your patient wants to try out some recipes or other things, they can go to ChatGPT. You can tell them that these are the ingredients, these are things you can include as a diabetic. These are things you should need to avoid. Right, and you put all these things, and you will get a nice, this is something like a low carb thing where you can remove the honey and you can have a low carb version of the smoothie, right, which you can have. Okay, something very useful is text extraction and formatting tool, right? So sometimes you have some block of text where you want to just extract some data from it, right? So here, for example, there's a text where so these are the this is the Yeah, so these are the ADA, American Diabetes Association guidelines. Now or some other guidelines where I don't want to read the entire guidelines. Just tell me just extract the recommendations or just extract the end result of it, right? So just put this block of text, copy and paste it, and the prompt which I put is just help me extract the recommendations and enlist the recommendations from the ADA guidelines, right? So I copied the text and put it. You can see here it is then giving you the recommendations which it is extracting, right? So I think this was not the this was the NASH NAFLD guideline, right? So you just say that I just want the recommendations. Just list the recommendations. That will list the recommendations here. Moving ahead, this is something very useful. It is very useful for summarizing and asking questions regarding a document. Okay. Now I'll give you an example. Now this is where a lot of you will be using this very frequently, right? Now, a lot of us share research papers with each other, on WhatsApp. This is a new paper which has come in NEJM. This is a new paper which has come in Lancet, right? So, who has the time to read the whole entire paper? So, if you don't have the time, all you can do is you can upload the document. You can upload the PDF of the research paper or the document of the research paper, and then you can start asking questions. For example, here. This was we were actually making an organization where there was a legal document which was sent to me to read, right? So this legal document was sent to me. I said, this is a legal document of a Section 8 company that we are registering. Can you tell me the summary of it, right? Can you tell me the key points of the thing? So you can see here, it is saying reading document. So it is reading the document and then it is giving you the outline of the document, right? So you can say this is the outline of the document, interpretation, the definitions, what is the share capital valuation, etc., right? So it will give you the summary of the entire document, right? And so the next I asked them that, so who are the board of directors of this company, right? You can ask questions about it. Who are the board of directors? What is the paid up capital, etc., right? So this is a legal document. You can use the same for a research paper and so on, right? So it says that Akash and Shrikant are basically the directors of this company and so on, right? So if you have a long legal document or a long research paper, you can just upload the research paper or the legal document, and you can start asking questions to it, and you can easily get the answers very quickly, right? Same thing you can do using a link also, right? So we have this website called endocrinology.co.in where we upload the notes in endocrinology. So here we have these notes on here we have these notes on adrenal insufficiency for critical illness, right? So this is the notes. Now it's a very long note, right? So what we did, we just copied the link to the note, and you can just copy and paste the link here in the Chat GPT and say, give me a summary of the notes given in this link, right? So it first goes to Bing, researches with Bing, and then gets the data from there, right? So it says this is what the notes cover, right? And then it starts giving you the summary of it, right? So this is the summary, and the same way it gives just a paragraph summary. The notes are what is the effect on HP axis and changes in cortisol and aldosterone. It highlights the importance of HP axis in case of critical illness and so on and so forth, right? So it gives you the summary of the entire thing in a small abstract format, and then you can start asking questions. Can you give me the diagnostic criteria for critical illness, corticosteroid insufficiency, right? So it gives you the thing, right? You can see it's doing a A/B testing also, right? Is this answer better? Is that answer better? Right? Does that for me because I kind of answer this very frequently, but it may or may not happen all the time. But it will give you two different responses also. Sometimes you can say that this response is better or this is better. So here it gives you the diagnostic criteria for CERC, as you can see from the link, right? So if you have a big document or some again a research paper on PubMed, you can directly copy the link and you can directly ask questions on it and you can get the answers very quickly. Right. Same thing you can do with your mobile app. I told you almost everything that is available on the website is available on the mobile app also. So this is the mobile app which is there. Right. You can see the mobile app here. Right. And same thing what we have done. So we asked a very recent question. Right. Recent questions are just I want to show you that gone are the days when ChatGPT used to give you answers from the past. It is actually going to give you a very current answer. I'm a big Formula One fan, as some of you might be. Right. So this of course was a little late. Who has won the maximum races in Spa in Belgium for Formula One, right? So it gives you the answer. The answer is Michael Schumacher. He has 6 victories at Spa, right? So it gives you the current answer, right? The idea of putting this up was that it is going to give you the okay. Then I asked who was the last person to win the championship at Spa. So it's now searching for it, right? And they give you the current answer, right? So it's saying that the last person to win was Max Verstappen in 2023, right? So it gives you the latest answer also, right? So this is the beauty of it, and you can, like I said, you can verify the answer. It gives you the link, it gives you the website, right, of Formula1.com, from where you get the answer. You can see Max Verstappen won the thing, right? So gone are the days where hallucinations and all were present. These are now completely out, right? Then you have the code interpreter function. Now, ChatGPT is a very powerful computer in itself. It's a computer where it can actually write code and it can actually interpret the code also, right? So it can write and interpret the code, which is very beautiful, right? One place where I find using code very useful is when I want to make some sort of a flowchart, right? So to generate a flowchart diagram, there is something called a mermaid diagram, which is very useful. It's been around for a long time. So you can, what I said is, this is the I was writing this paper on AI. Where I wanted this kind of a flowchart, right? So early diagnosis, early referral, better treatment, better outcomes. This is the flowchart which I wanted. So I just wrote this and I said write a code for mermaid diagram for using this sequence, right? So you can see here, I just put this, right? So write a code for mermaid diagram with this sequence, right? So it's writing the code, right? So it wrote this code. Now you can copy this code and go to a mermaid live editor, right? So you can, this is called a mermaid, just Google search for it, mermaid live editor. Just copy and paste this code, okay? Just copy and paste this code and it gives you a beautiful flowchart, right? It gives you a beautiful flowchart here. Right now, this flowchart, I wanted to make it into a vertical flowchart. So all I said is make this into a vertical diagram, okay? So I put the prompt here, make this into a vertical diagram, and then it does this, right? Again, gives you the code, right? So just copy the code, copy this code and put it in the mermaid diagram over here, right? Okay, and you see, here you go, right? Early diagnosis, early referral. And then you can save this and put it in your paper or put it on your website or whatever, right? And here you go. This is what it is. So early diagnosis, early referral, better treatment, better outcome, right? So this is the flowchart which I wanted. You can make more complex flowcharts, or you want to write it as a part of your presentation or as a part of your research paper. You will be able to do this all using this here, right? The best feature I think is the GPT Vision feature. This is mind-blowing. This is outstanding, right? This is something which I'm going to show you some examples of this in clinical practice, right? So GPT Vision is where you can actually upload images, whatever image, any image you can upload, and you can ask it to interpret this image. For example, I was reading this paper on using verapamil for type 1 diabetes, and this is an image which was there. It's a very complex image. So I wanted somebody to explain this image to me in a simple word. So I copied this image and put it to ChatGPT and used the prompt, explain this image to me in simple words, right? So this is where it goes. So I just put this image here, right? I uploaded this image, right? And said, explain this to me in simple words, right? So here it goes. Okay. So the image appears to be a scientific figure from a study of a review article discussing the effects of a drug called verapamil on patients with type 1 diabetes. In simple terms, the image is showing how verapamil might influence various biological pathways. So oxidative stress pathway, apoptosis, etc., etc. Right? This is what it's showing. Then you can ask questions on it, right? So, okay, what is BCL2L2, right? What is INSIG1? What is it, right? What is TXNIP, TXNIP, right? You can ask questions about this also further and it will be able to answer this question also, right? So you just have this image, you read a lot of review articles and read a lot of research papers and you have some image. You don't understand what this image means. right? So you can go to the chat GPT and ask what this image means, right? Or what this picture means, right? And it's able to answer this. This is the GPT vision feature. Okay. Then you can generate images, right? This is what was somebody had asked in the previous presentation. How do you generate image, right? So you can do the image generation using an inbuilt system called DALI, right? You don't require a separate system. You just require the same GPT Plus subscription, and you can do that, right? For example, here I said, the prompt which I gave is something artistic. Life is random and chaotic. Make me a painting illustrating this thought and make it look like a Van Gogh's painting, right? So this is the prompt which I put, right? And you can see here, this is the prompt. I just needed this prompt, right? And I put this prompt, and you can see it's creating the image, right? So it's creating the image, and you can see here, right? So it made a beautiful painting, which shows life is random and chaotic, inspired by Vincent van Gogh, right? Now, I don't want this. I want a scientific picture, right? So this is very beautiful, right? So now I said, I want a scientific picture where okay, let's go here. Right, make me a picture, make me a diagram of a liver, and I want to create an awareness about fatty liver. Okay, so Shrey sent an email to Shah Rukh Khan, so I want Shah Rukh Khan also to get the image of fatty liver. Okay, so I just said, make me an image of fatty liver, creating awareness, and tell me the various factors which can impact a fatty liver. Okay, so this is the thing. Now it's generating. I'll show you the actual image which is generated. Okay, so it's then generating the image, creating the image, and you can see. And let's go to the next slide itself, right, where it's shown there, right? So on the left, you can see my first prompt, which was Vincent van Gogh's painting. And the right side, you can see the liver, and it's all the factors which is impacting the liver. Now, one thing I'll tell you, which is very important for you to understand, that the wordings, the text, it doesn't do well.
Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, Kunj.
Yeah, I think so. Some bandwidth issue with Dr. Lakani.
Oh, he dropped out, is it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, there seems to be some bandwidth issue with Dr. Lakhani. He's just rejoining. Yeah, Dr. Lakhani, welcome back.
Hi, I'm sorry, I lost the internet connection. I'll just
No issues.
start from where I left off.
While you are at it, Dr. Lakhani, you must tell us
Sure.
later, how did you get into artificial intelligence from endocrinology?
Right. So I think that all, like I said, it's all curiosity. So the more curious you are, I think, the more things you learn, right? So, right. Yeah, I'll start from where I left off, and that is where, I was showing you some images which were generated by ChatGPT DALI function. The thing you have to understand is that it doesn't do very well with text. So, I generally now, when I do prompting these days with ChatGPT, I would say that please avoid text. I don't want text into it because it messes up the text, right? So if you want to use something with text and somebody asks that, can I make an image or can I make an infographic? I think a good tool to use for making infographic is something called, Microsoft Designer or Canva. These are all available. These also have AI built features into it, right? So you can write a prompt there and you can get a good infographic. But if you want to use just an image, if you want to just generate an image, I think ChatGPT inbuilt system is very good, right? So if you want to generate an image or artistic image, it's very good. When scientific images, it's good. But for text, it's not a very good idea. You probably need to use some other tools or an infographic. You need to use Microsoft Designer. Okay, so here we can then move to the poll question here. Yeah, so I'll just open the poll. Okay, so if you have, I think till then, can we run the next poll question? Kedar, can we take a question or two if we have?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, Dr. Angad Kumar asks regarding.
Okay, so this is a poll question.
Okay, go on.
Yes. Yeah, so these are the poll questions. Which of these features do you find the most exciting? So I showed you some features of ChatGPT Plus, and you can tell me which of these is the most exciting, right? So a lot of people are finding DALI image creation very exciting. Some of you are finding code interpreter. Custom GPT we have not discussed in too much detail. I also talked to you about embedded search using Bing, where you can actually get the latest information, like for example, who is the current Formula One winner or something, who won the match, who won the IPL match or something, all these kind of things you can get, right? Okay, so a lot of people find image generation very useful. Actually, did not put GPT vision. My favorite feature is GPT vision, right? But that's something which is what I find useful. Yeah, Kedar, maybe a question or two. You can take one.
Yeah. So Dr. Angad Kumar asks, can we get the reports of fundus photograph, ECG or other imaging, and how reliable is this? Again, can we do bone age estimation by AI?
Yeah, so I'll come to this in the next part, which is the using AI in clinical practice. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so we'll go here. Now, see, because you understood I think people have understood the fundamentals of using OpenAI and ChatGPT. Now we'll go to the clinical use cases. Using all these features, we are going to put it in clinical use case, right? And we'll see how it goes. And it will actually answer all the questions which a lot of people have faced. Okay, so let's go to this, right? So, this is where we are going to see a few things. How you will use AI for making a diagnosis, for interpreting clinical signs, interpreting clinical reports, answering clinical questions, dissecting clinical reports, and explaining things in patient's word. The last one was actually very well illustrated by Shrey, so I'm not going to repeat that one. But let's start with making a diagnosis. Okay. Now, this is for example, this is a multiple choice question, USMLE style, right? A lot of you who have given a USMLE exam, or a lot of you who do clinical case, right? I'll not go into the question, right, in great detail, but this is a 29-year-old female who presents with anxiety and such, right? So you're given a clinical case vignette or a clinical case example, and you want to make a diagnosis, right? Here, of course, you're given options also. So how you can answer this, right? You can actually copy this question, put it in ChatGPT, and see how accurate it is in terms of answer. Now, you'll be surprised. ChatGPT is not a customized application for medical answering, but yet it is able to answer these things very accurately. Google has come with MedPalm 2, which Shrey showed you an example of it, which can actually make this diagnosis very accurately, right? So it can actually make this diagnosis. Now, this is a patient who probably has Graves' disease, right? And you can see all the clinical example here. So you put this. We had made a system here. I'm just illustrating a system which we had developed called EndoAI, which was a custom LLM for endocrinology. We actually discontinued it because we could not bear the cost of it. It was quite expensive to run it. But we put this question to EndoAI. Now, in fact, a lot of these things can be done at the generic ChatGPT also. This was 1 year back. So you can actually have the generic ChatGPT itself making the diagnosis. So here you can see, I put the question here, and it is giving the answer here as postpartum thyroiditis, right? This patient had a TSH receptor antibody negative. It's a type 1 patient who is postpartum and presented with, features of thyrotoxicosis. So it's a very interesting question, right? So you put this, and then let's check with whether this is a correct answer, right? It is giving you the explanation also, right? Let's check with this. So this question we have taken from a very popular WhatsApp group called CME India, which Dr. N.K. Singh runs. So he put this question, this MCQ in the WhatsApp chat, and you can see the answer is postpartum thyroiditis. So it gives you the correct answer. Of course, this is a clinical vignette where you have a design question, but you can actually have your own patient's clinical case into the system, right? So you can have, this is my patient. She's 29-year-old. This is the thyroid function test report. These are the normal ranges. This is the, TSH receptor antibody. It's positive, negative, something. And you can put your clinical situation there, and it will be able to answer the question. Now, again, please bear with me here that you have to cross-check the answer, right? Please do not rely completely on it. Remember, you are a doctor. You will have to take the final decision yourself, right? This is just going to support you, right? So don't just 100% blindly rely on the answer. Use your own clinical judgment as well, but it will still give you some hints towards the diagnosis, which will be useful, right? Then, of course, let's look at how you can use this for interpreting clinical signs and symptoms. A lot of you asked about X-rays. A lot of you asked about, clinical scenarios also. Let's look at a clinical case situation, right? So this is a medical image of a patient, okay? This is a real image of a patient. You can see some sort of, patient had varicose veins, some sort of, you can see venous stasis over here, right? So we went for a Doppler of this patient, and we also had the Doppler report also. So what we did was, we took these images and we took the Doppler report and we uploaded the images in the Doppler report into the CHAT GPT. Right now here, we are using one custom GPT, which is called Medical Images Pro Enhanced. You can, if you're using a CHAT GPT Plus subscription, you'll be able to access this custom GPT. This custom GPT is actually designed for answering questions about medical images. It is very good. It is very accurate. I'll show you some other use case examples also of this, right? Your generic chat GPT may not be able to do this, right? May or may not be able to do this. So you'll require a paid subscription and a specific custom GPT to help you do this. But again, it is very useful. So here what we did was we attached this image and the Doppler report, right? And we wanted the answer, right? So here the answer it says is that based on the images you provided in Doppler report, the patient has visible hyperpigmentation of the skin consistent with venous insufficiency on both the limbs. And ulcer is present. So the patient actually diagnosed the ulcer. Nowhere in the report does it say ulcer, but it actually made a diagnosis. There is an ulcer present in the lateral aspect of the right foot, which is common in such a venous insufficiency. The skin around the ulcer shows inflammation and possibly infection and dermatitis, right? So it is actually giving you an interpretation based on the image, right? Which is beautiful, right? And then it says, looks at the venous. So it looks at the clinical photograph and gives you the thing. He says that there is edema, particularly in the right foot, indicated by swelling. Then it gives you the venous Doppler report also, and it gives you the interpretation of the venous Doppler also. So it says that the patient's image venous Doppler consistent with chronic venous insufficiency, a condition commonly results in varicose veins, edema, and skin changes. Trust me, it actually blew my mind when I used this, right? It is actually making a diagnosis, right? So, and I in fact uploaded a lot of pictures of skin conditions and dermatological conditions. It is actually able to make the diagnosis, right? Again, let me tell you, please trust me that do not use this blindly. Use your own clinical judgment. Talk to your dermatologist, talk to your radiologist, talk to, some other specialist. But at the same time, you'll at least have some direction to making a diagnosis. I'll use some other examples, right? Then, of course, let's look at interpretation of clinical reports, right? So, one very commonly used report that I use in my own practice is a fibroscan, right? Now, fibroscan is something still new. I don't know really how, to interpret this report, right? So here you can see this is a patient where the patient came with a fibroscan report, which was done by the gastroenterologist, right? The patient came to me and the gastroenterologist referred to me saying that now Om will manage the fatty liver, right? So this patient was sent to me. This is the fibroscan report, right? Now, this was some time back, I really had very little idea of how to interpret what does CAP mean, right? What does this KPA mean, right? So what I did was I took this image and uploaded in the custom GPT, which is the same one, the Medical Pro Images GPT, right? Now, I'll not show you the video, but I put the prompt. This is the fibroscan report of my patient. Please help me interpret the results of the same, right? So it says that fibroscan, it first tells that this is a fibroscan report. It is, what is it used for? For looking at fibrosis and steatosis. Then it starts interpreting the report. So it says that the controlled attenuation parameter, CAP, the exact cutoff can vary according to the machine, but generally more than 238 indicates steatosis. This patient had a value of 284. So it says that the patient has steatosis. Then it says you look at the liver stiffness, and liver stiffness comes from the kilopascals, kPa. So the median value is 4.9. Typically, a value below 5 suggests that there is no significant fibrosis, whereas higher values more than 12.5 indicates cirrhosis. So this patient had an image of 4.9. So what it is saying is that the patient has steatosis, but patient does not have significant fibrosis, right? Then it looks like some of the other parameters. It looks like the IQR, right, interquartile range. So interquartile range, a low IQR suggests that the measures are consistent. So if you have low IQR, less than 8%, less than 30%, it is reliable. More than 30%, it is not reliable. All these things, it just gave me the results within seconds of uploading the FibroScan report. So I just clicked the photograph of the FibroScan, opened Medical Images Pro, which is within ChatGPT itself, right? I opened it, I put one prompt, and it started giving me the answer, right? So it says that, the images, it looked at the images and says the uniformity of images is good, consistent with the reading. Number of measurements taken, there are 10 measurements taken, which is good, right? Based on the report, and this is the final diagnosis, FibroScan report suggests that the patient may have some degree of liver, but no significant fibrosis. Interesting. Okay. Last point, it also says that, maintaining a healthy lifestyle and other, it starts giving you suggestions also in terms of treatment. Okay. Another thing which in a lot of you might be endocrinologists who are listening to this, or neurosurgeons also, something we commonly use is a perimetry, right? So if you have a patient with a pituitary lesion, right, we go for a perimetry. So these are images, these are just images of a perimetry of a patient. So I just click the images and put it on the chat GPT here, and again, Medical Images Pro, right? So you looked at that, right, and uploaded it, and you started saying that, it started giving you the interpretation. This is the output. Of course, difficult to read here, but the idea is that I was able to make the correct diagnosis in terms of the a perimetry report also, right? Okay, I'll not go into the great detail of it, right? So, but you get the idea. Now, some of you asked me here, can it make a diagnosis of X-rays? Can it make a diagnosis of of CT scans? Can it diagnose a pituitary microadenoma? Can it diagnose a dermatological image? Can it diagnose fundus images? Answer to all of that is yes, but you will need a custom GPT. Secondly, always, right? So it may not always give you the correct answer. Sometimes the image quality may not be good. Sometimes there will be certain flaws to it, but it can make. Can it interpret bone age? I have tried it. In some instance, it is able to do it to some extent, but it's not very reliable, right? So again, there might be questions of reliability. We can actually make, all of us endocrinologists and pediatric endocrinologists can sit together and make a custom GPT for basically for bone age, and we'll be able to do it a better job. But the current existing system is not customized for the bone age, so it is not able to do it very accurately, right? So you take the Grule Pile Atlas, or if you take the Tenor Whitehouse, and you can make our own custom GPT. I'm actually thinking of making this, so you'll be able to do it. But right now it is not very accurate, but for bone age. But for the other features and other images and all, you can try it out. It is quite good, right? And you can right? I'm just again not promoting glass health. I'm just trying to show you that there are alternate options also. So here we asked this prompt. My question was, a patient who is 37-year-old type 1 diagnosis, diagnosed 18 years back, his HbA1c is 7.6. What vaccine should he take, right? So I'm asking a question on adult vaccination, right? So this is the prompt which I put in Glass Health. Glass Health is available on glass.health. Also, some of it is free and some of it is paid. So you have a free version also, which you can use. So we are using right now a free version here. So based on that, we answered this question to the free version, right? This is the answer. And here it gives a very beautiful answer. I'll show you the answer which it gives me. So it starts with a design strategy that, okay, this is the question which I'm being asked. How do I interpret this? So it says that, the question I've been asked is that it's a type 1 adult. What kind of vaccines which the type 1 adult can take, okay? So then it is giving you the executive strategies, influenza vaccine, pneumococcal vaccine. It says PCV13 and BPSV23 both should be given, which is something we cross-checked, and it is actually true. Hepatitis B vaccine if the patient is not taken, TDAP vaccine, COVID vaccine, herpes zoster vaccine, it is always giving this recommendation, right? And then it is saying that upon reevaluation, these are the things which is coming from CDC guidelines, okay? So this is a clinical conundrum, right? You have a patient in front of you, you're not sure which vaccines to give. You can cross-check using Glass Health. You can do the same thing on ChatGPT also. Glass Health is a specialized tool for medical LLM, right? So this is where you can use, but you can use again existing ChatGPT also. And final answer, it says for 32-year-old type 1 patient with HbA1c of 7.6, the recommended vaccines are pneumococcal vaccine, hepatitis B if not taken, TDAP, COVID, herpes zoster vaccine, and so on, right? So that is what it is saying. Another tool which is built within ChatGPT as a custom GPT thing, which is called Consensus AI. This is something I use very frequently. So here you again go to custom GPT and search for Consensus AI, and this is where you look at, again, clinical conundrum. So here I said that I have a type 1 patient or a type 2 diabetic patient with multiple foot ulcers. I'm suspecting osteomyelitis. What is the best imaging modality which you can use, right? So this is, I asked this as a question, and you can see it is saying that, use MRI with particular sequences, which would be better for diagnosis of osteomyelitis, okay? Then, of course, let's go to another common clinical problem which we all face, is to dissect a clinical report. I'll go a little quick now because we are running short of time. So this is a 28-page report from 1mg.com. This alone, okay, is worth of you to attend this clinical presentation, right? If nothing else, this alone is enough, okay? Just pay attention for this one, right? A lot of times you have relatives of ours who send us reports which have 28-page, 38-page report. Most of the reports are junk, right? So how do you do? This is a system, this is a problem which ChatGPT solves very easily for me. So this report is available to me in a PDF form. I have removed the name of the patient, right? So this is a diabetic patient, relative of mine, but I don't want the beryllium levels and the cadmium levels and the useless reports. I just want the important parameters to be shown to me. So what I do, ChatGPT I uploaded this PDF file, and I made this ready-made prompt. Just extract the following information from this: fasting, FBS, PP2BS, HbA1c, creatinine, potassium, lipid profile, TSH, urine albumin create ratio. I just want these parameters. I don't want the other faltu parameters, right? I don't want all the other things. So you can see here, it is extracting all the data, right? So it is extracting the fasting sugar, which is 99. Postprandial sugar is not done. HbA1c is 7.6, creatinine is 0.94, potassium is 4.9. So only the important thing it is extracting, right? So if you are using the mobile application, it's very easy. Somebody sends you a report by WhatsApp. You save that report on your mobile, upload that PDF on the ChatGPT. You can do that on the mobile application also, and just write this prompt. Just extract the following important information, and it'll extract the important information and give you the important information, right? Instead of looking through that 28-page report, you just have all the all the information in front of you, right? So this, trust me, when I talk to a lot of doctors on this, they say this alone is enough for us to attend this workshop, right? This is such a big pain which ChatGPT solves in a second, right? So it solves this problem in a second itself, right? So this is the prompt and this is the answer, you can see, right? And in fact, you can see here a little bit, it is also giving you from where it got the information, right? So again, you can click on this and it will tell you that this answer came from first page, this answer came from 6th page, and so on and so forth, right? So, okay. Yeah. So these are the things. And finally, I think this is something which already talk to you about, explaining things to patients in their own simple words. We have a custom GPT made for that is called Virtual Dietitian for Type 2 Diabetes. So again, if you have a paid ChatGPT Plus subscription, this is a QR code. You can scan this. This is something which we have made ourselves. This is a virtual dietitian for Type 2 Diabetes. Here you have again a lot of annoying patients. Mango खा सकते हैं, apple खा सकते हैं, custard apple खा सकते हैं. You have all these people who come and ask these questions to you. Well, the answer is, what you do is, you go to this virtual dietitian for Type 2 Diabetes and you can ask any question, right? It's a custom GPT. It will answer very accurate questions, right? For example, here in this scenario, this patient said, "Okay, I have a festival period. So what can I do, right? I'm going to have a fast, or I'm going to have this. Can I eat this? Can I eat this, right?" So this patient says, "I'm a 50-year-old patient and I have Type 2 Diabetes. I'm Gujarati. And I'm a vegetarian, and please suggest a low carb 1600 calorie diet which I can consume and also enjoy the festivities of the day," right? So it is then making you a very nice customized diet plan, right? You can have a methi thepla, low fat yogurt, mixed nuts, green tea, right? In lunch you can have vegetables, moong dal, one small bajra roti. It is making the entire menu for the patient right in front of you, right? And then the patient can keep asking questions. Okay, I don't like bajra. What else can I use? Right? What else can I use in this place? Right? Can I have a mango? Can I have this? Right? All these things can answer. Right? So it's a virtual dietitian. You can of course use your generic chat GPT also. You can try. It may not be very accurate, but it'll still be able to do a lot of things in its own native form also. Right? So this is a virtual dietitian. Then of course, I think we are coming close to the end of the things. Right? So let's run another poll question here. And if we have the tech team ready with the poll. Till then, let's take some questions, Kedar, if we have, and then we'll finally wrap it up with a few last points that I have.
Yeah, sure. So Dr. Rakesh Parekh asks you, can you tell more on endo.ai? How did you make it? And you said it had to be discontinued because of burnout. How costly was it to make and maintain?
Yeah, so what we did was so there is something called endotext. Okay, so endotext was started by late Leslie DeGroot. Leslie DeGroot is a legend in the field of endocrinology. He also has the DeGroot textbook of endocrinology. It's like Harrison's for medicine. So Leslie DeGroot started a project called Endotext, where he wanted to put all the latest endocrine information on internet. So Endotext is available to you free of cost. It is called endotext.org. So what we did was, with help of some of the senior endocrinologists, we connected with the current editor of Endotext. We took all the data of Endotext and put it into our own custom large language model, which we called as Endo AI. So we developed this Endo AI model, and then we started, we put some, nice little wrappers around it, and it could able to, we actually unlocked it, right? In fact, we could answer a lot of detailed questions specific to endocrinology. So that's where we developed Endo AI. We discontinued it because the server cost, and once the usage started increasing, it used to cost us a lot of money. There were times where we paid almost 25,000 per month to just keep it running, right? And it was free of cost. It was just a passion research project. Which we had developed. So we, of course, did not have the resources to continue it. But in future, we are trying to make this into a commercial way, a commercial format where, just like ChatGPT or just like Glass Health, you'll be able to pay for a paid subscription where, we'll be also able to offset the cost of it, right? So we're planning that. But right now it's discontinued. But, it was amazing, from what we had developed. In fact, at some point of time, I was using it myself in my own practice, to answer questions. We had some difficult cases of some, very interesting metabolic bone diseases also, which we are able to crack with use of Endo AI, right? So this was the poll which we asked: if do you use AI, which of the following features do you find most useful, right? So some of course there are a lot of different answers, but some of them says that using AI for making health presentations. I think this is something which Shrey tried to answer. Let me just tell you what you can do, just quickly, briefly, because it's something which a lot of people want. So to make presentations, there are, of course, this was not part of my presentation today, but just to tell you briefly, what you can do is, there are 2 or 3 ways in which you can do it. First, and I think a simple way of doing it is that if you're using Microsoft has now something called an inbuilt AI system called Copilot, right? So Microsoft comes with a Microsoft Copilot, which also has a paid plan. So you can use a Microsoft Copilot plan, where what you can do is you make a text document, make a Word document, and you can ask it to convert this Word document into a PowerPoint presentation. So it will be able to do that. That is one. Second way, there is another app called Gamma.app, right? So you can try GAMMA, Gamma.app. Gamma.app is a very beautiful system. Again, you just put your text, or you put your, upload a PDF file, or upload some, text or some notes that you've written, and you can ask it to convert it into a presentation. It will be able to do the entire thing into a presentation format, in a very beautiful presentation format. But again, you will have to cross-check everything, like Shrey very rightly said, was that you will have to cross-check everything. Finally, sort of a raw way of doing it is by using, the existing Chat GPT itself. So the prompt which you have to put is that these are my notes. Convert this into a 10-slide PowerPoint presentation. Give me the Visual Basic script for making this into a PowerPoint presentation. So you just copy this, right? It will generate a Visual Basic. It will generate a code. This code you have to copy and put it into. There is a system built within Microsoft PowerPoint, which is called Visual Basic. So you just have to copy this code and put it in Visual Basic, and it will generate the entire slide set for you. So it is possible to do. Like I said, it is slightly more complex, and there are a lot of companies which are making it into a simplified manner. And very soon you'll have a lot of these tools which you can use it, out of the box. Currently, it's slightly complicated, but I think of all of these, if you want to use one which is the most simple to use and most effective, is Gamma app. It's called GAMMA, Gamma.app. You can try using this, and you will be, surprised with how good it is, right? Okay, so I think I just, I just end by a few slides in the end, and then we can take some more questions in the end, right? Okay, so just a final slide, and this is a pet peeve of mine. Just final 2 slides which I want to show you. I very strongly believe that when we discuss all of these things, I very strongly believe that the medicine as an era has changed now, right? Because of the advent of generative AI. Now, gone are the days, very long back, when medicine was basically magic. Okay, so there are basically witch doctors and people who would treat you with magic, right? Then you had the advent of Ayurveda and other things, traditional medicines, where medicine was a philosophy. Okay, so it was then embedded into a philosophical model. Then, if you see the Renaissance period, Da Vinci and other people, medicine was an art, right? So you had a lot of people drawing anatomical diagrams of human body. Then came the modern era, where medicine is a science, right? So you had development of antibiotics, development of vaccines, everywhere. Science was basically imbibed into medicine. Then, in the current era, you have the era of evidence-based medicine, where medicine is now a data science. So what medicine is, basically it's a form of data science, right? So you have this clinical research and you have this, randomized control trial and meta-analysis and everything, and it gives you the answer. But the next era is actually medicine as mathematics. Right now, my father is a physician, and my father always says, in medicine, 1+1 is never equal to 2, right? 1+1 can be 3, it can be 2.5, it can be 2.4, it can be 1.2, right? It is not always 2, which is wrong, I think. I very strongly challenge that notion. Its only thing is that we don't know how to make 1+1 equal to 2, right? Medicine has to be very precise, it has to be mathematical, it has to be algorithmic, right? And we are learning now with use of artificial intelligence, we are able to see things which we were not able to see previously, right? The computer is able to interpret data which it was not able to interpret previously. So hence, the future of medicine is actually mathematics, right? How you can actually divide any clinical situation into small mathematical formulas, so and then maybe able to answer the clinical situation of your patient, right? To give you an example of that, I'll not go into these things, but to give an example of what we have done, we actually developed a system called diabetology.co.in, right? It's available right now. You can check it out. We got a small grant from RSSDI for developing this also. This is where what we have done is, you go to diabetology.co.in, www.diabetology. You can scan this QR code. Here, what you do is you enter the patient's data, right? It takes you about 2 to 3 minutes to enter this is mainly we are developed for newly diagnosed patient with diabetes. So you just enter the data of the patient, age of the patient, gender of the patient, the clinical parameters, the lab parameters, HbA1c, urine albumin creatinine ratio, LDL, triglyceride, everything. You enter all of these into the data, and it will start generating recommendations. Okay, does my patient need insulin? What is the diabetic kidney disease status? What is the cardiovascular risk status? Is the patient candidate for remission of diabetes? Does the patient require Findrinon? Does the patient require ACE inhibitors? Does the patient require statin? Does the patient require aspirin? Which anti-diabetic drugs to give, right? It will give you all that, right? You can see recommendations here, and it will tell you why each of these recommendations is also there, right? Why rosuvastatin? Why basal insulin? Right? It will tell you the reasons why it should be doing that, right? So it will give you the reason as well. Then you can go to the next page where you can actually modify. Let's say I don't want to give 20 milligram rosuvastatin. I have to start with 10 milligram. Agreed. Okay, so you start with 10 milligram of rosuvastatin. You want to add some brand. Let's say you want to put an Alembic brand of rosuvastatin or Alembic brands of telmisartan. You can do that, right? And hence you then have the final prescription where it's saying that you start rosuvastatin, degludec, metformin, gliclazide, so on and so forth, right? So this is all. So it can actually generate a prescription right in front of you. This is available to you. Check it out, right? This is what we have done is we have actually broken down the complexities of diagnosing and treating type 2 diabetes and newly diagnosed patient with type 2 diabetes into mathematical formulas and algorithms, where based on that you are able to actually generate a prescription, which is actually quite accurate, right? We have in fact compared it with our own prescription and we found that it to be quite accurate. You can see here the final prescription generated in a PDF format, right? So this is all, I have to say, and thank you for a patient listening. And if there are further questions, I'll be happy to take them. And sorry for the little technical glitch and running a little over the time.
No, it's been most interesting, Dr. Lakhani, and there were so many eye-opening moments. I'm sure a lot of doctors have already messaged, thanks, so on and so forth. But 2-3 pertinent questions that in a daily practice of a consulting physicians, how do you see, the physician of today using it in daily practice? Would he actively start using it in diagnosis, treatment, what all? I mean, if you really portray a typical day of a physician in the next 6 months, how do you see this happening?
Yeah. So I think 2 or 3 things where you can start using it right away, which is actually going to save you time and your efforts, right? Of course, right now it's too early that it's going to make you money, but it's going to save you time. That is something which is most important, right? How does it save your time? Now, like I said, those long PDF reports, right? Your patients send you these reports, or patients, sometimes come with their reports on their mobile phones, right? Now it literally takes you 5 minutes to go through the entire report, right? So instead of that, you take that report, put it on ChatGPT, right, and start asking questions. So first, the first is just extract the data which is relevant to your practice. Let's say you are a hematologist, you just want the CBC and the other parameters there. You are an endocrinologist, you just want the metabolic parameters, right? So you just tell me that these are the parameters which I want to look at. It will give you all that data. Then you can ask a question. Now, let's say I'm an endocrinologist, I'm interested in the clinical parameters, but my patient is also anemic. Patient looks pale. So I also want to know the hemoglobin of the patient, right? So I then can ask the question, okay, what is the HB of the patient? Okay, what is the look at the MCV, MCH, right? Is it microcytic hypochromic anemia? What is the peripheral smear showing, right? So all these things are there in the report, right? But if I go through that report, I have to go back and forth, right? I spend a lot of time doing that, right? Instead of that, just upload it, right? And start asking questions, quick questions to it, right? Okay, what is the LDL of the patient? What is the cardiovascular risk? Now, patient is 40-year-old with history of hypertension. It will, trust me, it will then start calculating the cardiovascular risk also, right? So it will give you a lot of, what is the EGFR of the patient? You will be able to do a lot of calculations also within that document, right? So I think that is something which improves your clinical practice and also kind of gives you more edge over your competitors, right? So that is one place where you will, I think you should start using on day-to-day practice. Second place where I said is in terms of diagnostics, right? So like I said, of course it's not accurate, but it can help you. For example, you have a report with a complex 2-page, PET scan report. So just, click the photos of those PET scan report and then upload it and start asking it to interpret the report, right? So it will tell you, sometimes, again, I am a trained endocrinologist, but I'm not a trained oncologist. I don't understand, these PET reports and this SUV max and all that. Right? So I can ask questions about it, right? So, you are actually making more sense to the patient also. The patient is also kind of, getting more out of you as a clinician, right? Some cases like the clinical pictures that I showed you, all those things can also be useful. And the third place where I feel that, it is going to be very useful right now, of course, I did show you an example of that. But again, a lot of endocrinologists and physicians, will be writing prescriptions which are long. Okay, so you'll be writing, about 6 medicines or 7 medicines, right? So what you could do is, you are, let's say, worried about drug interactions, right? Now there are certain custom GPTs which will help you with drug interaction also. So you take your document, the PDF or the prescription that you generated, just one time before you give the prescription to the patient, just upload that and ask, okay, is there any potential drug-to-drug interaction? It will be able to pick it up, right? So maybe this is a drug interaction, maybe this dose is wrongly given, right? So on and so forth, right? So you'll be able to kind of just give a quick verification of your prescription before it goes to the patient, right? That's something where it could be very useful. So these are 3 or 4 places where you can straight away start using, these kind of tools, and it's going to enhance your practice.
Well, that's really super. Let me quickly wrap up. Just for the records, we have had more than 2,000 registrations today for this program, Dr. Lakhani. That shows the interest. And at any given point of time, I had about 100 questions. So I've really had a task of clubbing it. It's been mesmerizing, really. So on behalf of the entire team, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude for Dr. Lakhani and Shrey to open the session as well. Dr. Lakhani, of course, made it much, much more application-based in terms of a daily clinical practice. And Shrey, of course, opened the innings with, some of the basics which we need to know. We hope that you found this very, very useful. Just for the records, we will be sharing the entire link of the recording, as well as we will be providing you the takeaways and some of the ready prompt reckoners, which you all can use it in daily practice. Again, let me thank Dr. Lakhani and Shreya and Team Alembic for making this happen. Thank you. Have a great Sunday.
Thank you, Kedar. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Good day.